The title of my talk today is Dancing the Dance of Joy. Dancing the Dance of Joy. So I'm going to begin with a question, and this question is an audience participation one. So I want you to get ready to go into the chat room and give me some feedback on this. Okay? Does anybody have a favorite dance? The rock? The swim? The Batman? The monkey? The jerk? The Cabbage Patch, the Electric Slide, the Wobble, the Cupid Shuffle? What's your favorite dance? Let me know. It could be the twist, right? Remember the twist? Let me know what your favorite dance is in the comments section, in the chat. And while you're doing that, I have something for you, and that is that God has a favorite dance. God has a favorite dance. God's favorite dance is the dance of joy. God's favorite dance is the dance of joy. And God's dance of joy is a two-step. God's dance of joy is a two-step. Step one in God's dance of joy is that God wills our perfect happiness. And step two in God's two-step of joy is that we must agree with God and share God's will for our perfect happiness. We've got to join God. God is continually saying, "You are my beloved. You are whole, you are complete. You are lovely, lovable, loving, and love-able. You are love because I created you as love." God is continually beaming that message down to us. God is continually beaming that message into us when we stop and listen and believe and align. And that message is a message of joy, for it makes us joyful. But our task is to stop and listen to God. Our task is to believe God. Our task is to stop spinning those savage fantasies in our minds based on our miseducation, where we were miseducated to feel as if we were not enough or that we would never be enough. Our miseducation, where we were miseducated into believing that we were separate from God, even though when we sit there in union and meditation, we know that we are one with the divine flow. We've got to join God. God is saying, "Beloved, I love you. I want to give you ease and peace and joy." And we're saying, "But no, God, what about this? And what about that? And what about this? And what about that?" And all of that is a lot of miseducation. So it's a two-step, God's dance of joy. God wills our perfect happiness, and we must agree with God. We must accept that this is God's will. So how do we do that? Does this sound preposterous? Perhaps the following spiritual teachings can help us. Because somewhere down there, buried in our minds, are ideas contrary to this. Because if there weren't ideas contrary to this, we would allow ourselves continual joy, perpetual joy, overwhelming joy all the time, and we would always be in a state of joy. So maybe somewhere in our minds we don't believe it. So I'm going to just offer you some spiritual guidance here. In Psalms 32nd chapter 11th verse, it says, "Be glad in the Lord and rejoice your righteousness and shout for joy, all you upright in heart." In other words, open your heart to the love of God, and that love of God will fill you with the joy that your heart has yearned to feel, because that joy is your natural state. Another one, Psalms 16th chapter 11th verse. "You will show me the path of life. In your presence is fullness of joy. At your right hand are pleasures forevermore." If there is fullness of joy in God's presence, it must be a happy place. If being in God's presence is a happy place, then he must be a happy God. If being in God's presence is a happy place, then he must be a happy God. Now, what does this tell us? This tells us that maybe, despite how some may have gotten it twisted over the ages, maybe God was not this dour, mean, sadistic, vengeful God. Maybe God was joy before somebody got it twisted. And God's path is a path of joy, and God wills for us our joy. So that takes me to, of course, my favorite, A Course in Miracles, Lesson 100. God's will for you is perfect happiness. Why should you choose against God's will? That part, your perfect happiness, is essential to his plan. Your joy must be complete to let his joy be complete. You are indeed essential to God's plan, because without your joy, God's joy is incomplete. Now let's make this real. Anybody here ever have a toothache? If your tooth is unhappy, your body is unhappy, right? Anybody ever go dancing with a toothache? It's not a lot of fun. Anybody go do anything with one of those pounding toothaches? It's not a lot of fun, right? Well, your tooth is a part of your body. And how can your body be in joy if your tooth is in pain? Well, guess what? We are a part of the body of God. We are an extension and an expression of God. And so if we are like a toothache, how can God's joy be complete? And how can God's joy continue to expand, right? We are here as expressions of God. We are here as expansions of God. We are here as representatives of God. We are here as the light of God in its expansion into diverse forms so that all would know the glory of God. Therefore, joy is your job. What if joy was your job? What if joy was your function? What if joy was your natural state? What if God willing joy for you was God willing its presence to be expanded and its experience of itself to be expanded? Well, then we could release what I call the sin template from our minds. In our minds, there is this sin template. The sin template says 1,000 variations of the following. There is some standard of perfection I have not met. Therefore, I am undeserving of the love and the joy and the peace of God. Now, we always think of sin as biblical sin. But in truth, the thought of sin, the thought of not enoughness, the thought of inadequacy, the thought of wrongness is any thought that would deviate from what we perceive to be in our fantasy mind perfection. And we all, at one point or another, have created the savage fantasy of what perfection is supposed to be. And then we've judged ourselves negatively for not meeting that standard. That's the sin template that may exist in the back of our minds. What would happen if we were to replace that sin template with the joy template? That you are holy, loved, lovable, just as you are, and therefore you are deserving of joy instead of being sinful and undeserving of your good. What if each time we went into prayer and meditation, and what if each time we contacted and vibrated with and experienced the loving joy of God, that it erased a layer of the sin template and instead replaced it with a joy template, just like Microsoft Word? Find and replace. Find and replace, oh God, anything in me that is vibrating with the sin template. Replace it with the joy template, that I may be the joy you meant me to be. Well, A Course in Miracles helps us by telling us there is no sin. It has no consequence. Now, If we replaced the sin template with a joy template, all the consequences of sin would dissolve. The difficulties we may have found in our lives, the conflicts in our minds, the conflicts in our minds that get outpictured in the world, the belief in lack and the belief that we are being withheld from, which is actually our sin template, believing that withholding from ourselves. And if we were to release that sin template and instead have the joy template, we wouldn't have to waste so much time trying to get back into God's graces because we'd remember that we never left God's graces. Amen? We have to agree with God. We have to release the sin template and adopt the joy template. But don't take my word for it. Don't take any of these other spiritual words for it, or any of the other 20 spiritual quotes that I could have put in here if time had permitted. Take God's word for it. When you go into meditation, when you go into prayer, when you go into that sense of enlightenment, when you go into community, just like right now, I can see on your faces, some of you beaming with joy because we've been working with it and talking with it, and our collective energy is vibrating with it. And then make it real in your life. So how do we make it real in our lives? I've got 3 points to share with you about that, and then I'm out, okay? Number 1, align with God. Number 2, adjust your life. And number 3, make your choices for joy. Number 1, align with God. Number 2, adjust your life. Number 3, make your choices for joy. 1 Corinthians 6th chapter 17th verse says, he who joined to the Lord in one spirit with him. God, and A Course in Miracles says, God, being love, is happiness. Joining with God, and Emmett Fox said it in our responsive reading, joining with God is joining with joy in meditation, in prayer, and contemplation, in community. When you join with God, you join with joy, because God, being love, is happiness. Now, when you use that joy template instead of the sin template, instead of spending your life and your energy and wasting your energy avoiding punishment and pain, you can instead utilize and leverage your energy to pursue joy. Now, wouldn't it be so much more fun to use your energy? Your energy is a wondrous, amazing resource. Your creative energy is the power of God within you. Wouldn't you rather use that to create and allow more joy instead of wasting it? Wasting it, avoiding pain that need not be due to sin that has no cause, has no reason, right? So what do? We can adjust our lives for joy. And sometimes there are some, at the basis level, we can adjust our lives for joy by making little physical adjustments. And I'll give you an example of this. One of my guests on one of my shows once said, okay, I have this joy spectrum, and where am I on it? Well, right now I'm feeling like I'm not in joy because this chair is uncomfortable. And so you know what she did? She got up and got a pillow and sat on the pillow on the chair. She said, now if I had a glass of water, my joy would be up to an 8 instead of a 6 because I'm thirsty. You know what she did? She got up and got a glass of water. You know why these little physical adjustments are so important? Because these little physical adjustments make us mindful always that joy is our birthright. Does that make sense? Make a minor physical adjustment and you saying to God, I agree with you that joy is my birthright. You know what the universe does? With every action, there is an equal reaction. So when you react in saying yes to joy, even in some seemingly minor and innocuous way, the universe says, oh, she says yes to joy. Let's send her some more, right? Give God permission to send you more joy. Adjust your life. So that's just a little physical adjustment. But the more important adjustments are mental adjustments. How many of us have had attack thoughts? An attack thought is, oh, you're so dumb. An attack thought is, oh, you knew you weren't going to make it anyway because something's wrong with you. Attack thoughts that attack the part of you that is God and cause you to believe that you are less than love. When we begin to be mindful of our attack thoughts and how they attack our joy, we can then get spiritual and say, God, I let you in. This attack thought would cause me pain and suffering. Pain and suffering is not your will. So, God, I let you in. Change this thought, change my mind, change my energy, change my vibration, and therefore change my outcome and change my world. Change my outlook, change my outcome, and change my world. These are the adjustments that we can make for joy. And anything, there is nothing too minor to be adjusted for joy. And what do I mean by this? Make those minor adjustments for joy, whether they be physical, whether they be mental, whether they be spiritual, anytime you're feeling even ever so slightly out of spiritual sorts. And the universe is going to reflect more joy to you. The universe is going to bring more joy to you. The universe is going to shower you with more joy. The universe is going to give you another reason to be joyful. Make your choice, and this leads to the third thing. Make your choices for happiness. Last night, while I was writing the sermon, I got thirsty. And I unconsciously, when I got thirsty, I tried to push it off, right? I'm sitting at my desk, I'm typing, I'm on a roll, I'm typing, I'm receiving, I'm typing, I'm receiving, I'm typing, I'm receiving, I'm typing. I'm thirsty. Unconsciously, I brushed it off. I'm receiving, I'm typing, I'm receiving, I'm typing. I'm thirsty. Oh, I brushed it off. Brushed it off about 3 times. And then I realized I unconsciously bought into the idea that suffering for a moment would get me a reward after the completion of the task. And then I realized what would really make me happy and more productive would be to take a break, get a drink of water. Then I would be happy and replenished to complete my task. A little subtle mental shift, right? But it was a little subtle mental shift from the sin template of punish yourself now and get your glory later to the joy template. Accept your joy right now and it can only expand. And the point of this is not about me and water. The point of this is we make micro decisions all the time. What if every micro decision we made was a decision for joy? And I want to give you another example that I observed recently. Reverend Cynthia Tootle is a way shower. She's a leader. And one of the things she realized recently is that she decided to delegate some of her activities that weren't in alignment with her heart's true desire for her ministry in order to utilize and leverage her energy optimally to fulfill God's purpose that would bring her joy and would fulfill God's purpose through her. And this adjustment, this choice, was a brilliant choice and guided from God to adjust, to be so in alignment with God that that which was in alignment with God's purpose for her, she had to deprioritize. We can all make these decisions. They serve you and they serve God. They serve God. So I have a question for you in ending. What if your job were joy? What if that were your function? What if your job were joy? Number 2, how would you grade yourself on your job evaluation if your job were joy? And number 3, what would you do to improve your joy score? So let me ask you that. What can you do to improve your joy score? How can you align more with God so God, being love and happiness, could flow through you more fully, more unfettered? What adjustments can you make? Minor micro adjustments in your thoughts, minor micro adjustments in your actions, minor micro adjustments in your outlook that determine your outcome. What choices can you make that align you more with the God created you to be, and less as the role you feel you have to play out of guilt or obligation? That's how you meet God. That's how you meet God and dance with God. That's how you meet God and dance in the two-step with God, where God's will is your perfect happiness and your task is to agree with God. That's how you let God bless you. That's how you let God fill you. That's how you let God inspire you. That's how you let God lead you. That's how you let God guide you. That's how you let God provide for you. When you dance with God, God will dance right back. When you choose joy, God will show you joy. When you get into that place with God, God is there waiting for you. God is waiting for you right now to give yourself permission to be the joy God created you to be, to give yourself permission to be the light God created you to be, to give yourself permission to be the love God created you to be. For God, being love, being joy is happiness, and your happiness feeds the happiness of the world, and that is your job. So as you choose and as you're ready, you can dance the dance of joy with God as you make the choice for God. And that's what I want to share with you today. Thank you so very much. Hi, this is the first of a series of videos on personal mastery. Personal mastery is being so filled with self-love, self-confidence, and deep peace that you can create all that you desire. Personal mastery involves releasing fear, guilt, shame, and doubt. And if you want more information, guidance, or support on personal mastery, I'm doing a set of 8-week classes beginning on October 28th. There are actually 2 classes. The one on October 28th is called Spirit Speaks on Personal Mastery. And this channeled class, Spirit will help guide you to develop more self-forgiveness, more self-appreciation, more self-awareness, and more confidence in your spiritual ability to manifest. So that Monday night class is on Zoom, and it's 8 weeks. And I'm also doing a Thursday night class called Manifesting with Mastery, which helps bring you to this higher level of mastery where manifestation is easy and effortless because the human fears, human doubts, and human confusion isn't in the way. So that's a practicum where you get to practice and integrate the spiritual teachings in your life through exercises that help you to master your life and to manifest the good that you desire. So if you want more information on these, just text me at 202-253-6009, and I'd be happy to send you more information, or check out my website, www.revjimwebb.com, and on my website, www.revjimwebb.com. Under the Services tab, you'll see a tab called Classes and Workshops that has more of a description and all of the registration information that you need. And by the way, there's a discount for early registration. So check it out, and I look forward to seeing you in class.